Welcome into the Backyard Broadcasting podcast channel. Thanks for downloading. Shawn, Carey, and we've got another Backyard Business Spotlight. It's our monthly conversations with Jason Fink, the president and CEO of the Williamsport Lycoming Chamber of Commerce. And this was recorded on Tuesday morning, February 24th, 2026.
Hey, the sun is kind of out. I'm actually, it's been a while since we've seen anything like that. So my eyes are like, hold it, what is that coming?
Yeah, it's that ball up in the sky there.
Exactly.
Huh? Okay. 55 possibility on Saturday. So the snow we got yesterday and what we're going to get tonight's going to go by the boards.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to the warmer weather.
24 days.
That's right.
Till spring.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's go right into the headlines right out of the gate. So we learned of a snag recently regarding development in Muncy Township with Bass Pro. Of course, that was one of the big stories that you and I spoke about last year at the former Best Buy location. And also a word of a Chik-Fil-A that would be opening about a stone throw away from the Best Buy building. So this is the concern increasing that we may hit a point sometime down the line where these companies don't want to waste any more time and pull the plug and choose to build somewhere else. And that could be pretty much for any type of project. That concern could be there. I
mean, the challenge is you look at it. I think we're going to get through all this. I'm always the optimist on this. You look at the Chik-Fil-A, they've got the infrastructure pretty much already in. They're trying to get some of the more important things part of the development. You have to put a bond up. They're trying to get the bond reduced because they've accomplished and the engineers approved the work that they did. And typically you go in, you get a reduction of your bond because everything's been satisfied for that. And that's a cost savings. And, if it's not handled in a timely manner, then you've got penalties as the developer. And it also can hold up your development. Chick-fil-A, they've got a timeline. And if that gets delayed, sometimes that comes back on the developer. Very rarely at this point in time would they just walk away, but there's always that possibility as well. So, the thing about it is you just don't like to see hiccups when there shouldn't be. I mean, I completely understand if the engineer walked in and said, hey, that culvert that you put in, that's not built properly. You've got to take and redo it. Then I understand, that's on the developer side of it. But when a developer does everything that's required, you expect things to be done in a timely manner. And unfortunately, you're running into that. Similarly, we're running into things with regards to the Bass Pro development. If you go down to the township, they've got a sign on there that they're not accepting any development at all at this point in time. They voted to put a moratorium, which is kind of odd because you technically can't do those types of things as a township. You're open for business, and you just need to figure it out how you're going to maintain being open. You can't just say, hey, we don't have a secretary or something like that. You've got to maintain your operations. And so, it's one of those things where we're going to work through it. We expect to see things moving forward. They want to be open here in 2027. You're going to see some signs coming up here later this week. They're going to have Bass Pro's announcement that they are going to be there at the Best Buy location, and much bigger than just the Best Buy, folks. Just so that it's going to be about 80,000 square feet or so. So that's, you're going to see signs going up stating that they're going to be open here come summer 2027.
And information, the most information people can get, the better. And there's going to be an opportunity for people to learn more about the Bass Pro project coming up this weekend. Now, this may be an event that a lot of people may not be all that aware about. So tell us what's going to be happening at the Best Buy building this coming Sunday.
Yeah, we're talking to the developer and, talk to them about the fact that, hey, there's everything that they're presenting to the township is all public documents at this point. And so from that aspect of it, it was like, okay, look, why don't we just do a public meeting for folks to come in, hear about what's going on, give them an update also just with what's going on at the district itself, because they've got a couple of other projects that they're hopefully going to be able to share more information about where they're going with those. A couple of other businesses that they believe that they've got locked in that they can share at that time. But specifically to Bass Pro, they're going to share those land development plans, give folks the ability to see exactly how big that building's going to be. exactly how it's going to sit there on the site, and they're going to be able to see all the signage and everything else that's associated with that development. So that'll be at 2 o'clock, from 2 to 3 o'clock at the Best Buy. It's open to the general public. Obviously, we want the public to be able to come out and see and hear about what's going on there.
Bring your questions.
Bring your questions. That's
yes.
Developer will be there. We're going to have other folks, officials from the community there to be able to talk about, the importance of development, being able to see redevelopment, because it's a tax base issue right now. I mean, you look at, we heard from the school district when they were at the meeting here the other week. They talked about the fact that when the mall was full, they were bringing in somewhere in the neighborhood of just under $900,000 in tax revenue. As the mall sits today, it's about $175,000. That's almost a $700,000 drop that they've seen. And the most impressive thing that I heard out of the school board president when he got up and spoke, they've been able to maintain their taxes at the same rate for the past 6 years. So, they've done a great job, but, they're not going to be able to continue to do that. You need redevelopment.
So let's go from Muncy to downtown Williamsport as we talk about developments. Now let's go to a business that's been, let's just say it's been around for a while.
Oh, yes. Yep, exactly.
Otto Bookstore, the gem in downtown Williamsport, and the news broke after our visit last month about their very exciting news about their expansion coming up later this year.
Yes, actually was very excited to be able to go over, meet with John, and he gave me a little sneak peek as to what they're looking at doing in there. Very excited for what they've got planned there. It's going to be, I think, a really neat feature for them to be able to do more of an event space in addition to the bookstore. They've been doing, if you follow them on social media, I actually had an opportunity to be able to participate in one of their programs. They bring in authors and have an opportunity to have dialogue with people. And it was really, it's doing very well for them. But, they're constrained right now. The next door has been open for them. They had an opportunity to talk to their landlord, and now they're going to be expanding. And it's going to be a great opportunity for folks to be able to really be able to experience some of the books that they're able to take and read there and buy there and meet some of the authors. So I'm excited for what they've got. I can't wait to be able to see it. And the great thing about it is it's right across the street, quite literally a stone's throw away. I think I can get a stone across the street there.
I think you can.
Yes.
Well, if not, you can go to the lumber yard and kind of limber up a little bit after that opens up here in a couple months.
Yep.
Also, just part of a ribbon cutting and a special grand reopening of Lanna Beauty Bar. And we had them as our primary sponsor at our Bridal Expo over the weekend down at the Genetti.
I will tell you, just very excited for that business again downtown, being able to, and it was actually pretty cool to be able to get in there. If you haven't been in, you need to go in there and just see, how that's all laid out, all the services that they offer. I will say, I got home and talked to my wife about it, and she was all excited. She's like, and you didn't bring me a gift card? And I'm like, I forgot about that. So guess what?
Reason to go back.
Oh, yes. Trust me. It's one of those things where, okay, there will be something that I need to be stopping by there for. So great that they're down the street from me, too.
All right. So now we go from downtown to the Golden Strip.
Yes.
Been some news of a possibility of a fast food chicken franchise that could be heading into one of the plaza on 3rd Street here, possibly later this year.
Yeah. And it's one of those things I will caution folks, when information gets out like that, there's still a lot of things that have to happen.
Since I threw in possibility.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, because I will say there was also the possibility, if folks remember last year when Joann's went out, there was discussion of a grocery chain that was going to be going into the Joann's. Franchise, I believe, was called Grocery Outlet, to be exact. I had folks who were asking me, hey, I heard Trader Joe's going in there. I was like, no, I've heard it's Grocery Outlet. They've got to look into a lot of things to be able to make sure that everything fits. And I'll be honest with you, I'm hoping that they do. It's always great to be able to see another company coming into the market. Wingstop's one that I've not been to one, I'll be honest with you.
I've never been to one either. And I was watching the Celtics-Lakers game on Sunday night, yes. And I saw a Wingstop strip, where you see the the score and the time and all that. They took that out there and then put the Wingstop logo on there, and it's like they're one of the big NBA big sponsors and corporate partners. And it's like, yeah, I've never been to one. Then I got to thinking, where's the closest one to here? I think it's Scranton, Harrisburg, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it's the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area is, I think, the closest one, or Harrisburg. But, it's one of those things where it would be great to be able to have one here. I believe we've got the right market demographics and all the other things that they look for, income levels, everything, to be able to see. One key thing that we always hear from some of the stores, the commute. People will drive in our region to be able to come and shop or to buy there from them. Williamsport, Lycoming County is a hub for a lot of places, especially folks who live up north, those who live even south, Lewisburg market, they'll come up here for those places. You talk to anybody on the strip, I mean, it's one of the things where it's just not just directly in the Williamsport, Lycoming County area. They get people who travel from out of market to be able to come here. Do
you talk to people from time to time where your staff, you get the one-on-one question, why can't this business come here? Why can't that come here? But that's the thing. You just touched on it a second ago about all the research and the development, and does it hit their target numbers and what they would have to bring in each month in order for that to be a success?
Yeah, it's one of those things because, again, we do. Trust me, I get emails, I get phone calls from folks. Hey, it would be great to be able to get this chain, this, whatever. Trust me, I think they're all great. I also will note we've got a lot of small local businesses who offer a lot of similar services. A lot of, I will point out, I'll put up any of our local restaurants against any of the franchise chains that are out there. I think we've got a phenomenal local scene, but people still want to be able to see that national retailer coming in or that national restaurant coming in. They're looking at a whole different demographic, different market to be able to justify whether or not they're going to make it in. The other thing is distribution side of it. It's one of those things where I can still remember having conversations with the folks who were working at Macy's. If you remember, Macy's was down at the mall for years. This Macy's was one of the top producing Macy's within the whole region. The challenge was the others within the distribution network that they had were suffering and were not performing well, and they weren't going to justify sending a load of product on a weekly, monthly basis all the way to Williamsport, to Muncy, to be able to, just justify keeping that one open. So sometimes what they'll do is they'll say, okay, this sector within our franchise chain doesn't perform well, and so we're going to shut down all 3 or 4 of them instead. And you see that. I mean, Macy's didn't just shut down ours. They shut down a number of others at the same time within the geographic area. So
our visits always go by quickly, sir. Thanks for the time as always. Jason Fink, the president and CEO of the Williamsport Lycoming Chamber of Commerce, in our monthly Backyard Business Spotlight. Not only our spotlights here in the podcast channel, but also you can follow up with our weekly public affairs program, In Touch with Freddie Hammer, bonus interviews, and so much more. And if you don't have our Backyard Broadcasting app on your phone, download it. Just search Backyard Broadcasting from Google Play and the Apple App Store. Open up the app and tap podcast for radio on demand, because Backyard Broadcasting is also Backyard Podcasting. I'm Shawn Carey, and join me weekday mornings at Carey's Corner, 5 to 10 a.m. at Country 105.1 WILQ, and late afternoons 3 to 7 on Classic Hits 93.3 WBZD.